Good evening again. I don't know if it's going to be funny or not, but it's the same theme that Dr. Vernon Coleman, MB, CHB, DSC, FRSA, is continuing with his numbers, although he's saying passing observation 16, a coronavirus special. I think it only goes to 12. But these, finally, don't forget to brainwash yourself every day by repeating my special mantra, that of Dr. Vernon Coleman. 1. Distrust the government. 2. Avoid mass media. 3. Fight the lies. His number one observation: yesterday morning, YouTube took down my video about how I fear government's plan to steal and sell your DNA. I complained that the video contained facts and an assessment of the future, a prognosis. The only difference between my hypothesis and the hypothesis put forward by the seemingly hopeless Ferguson, the Eddie the Eagle of mathematical modelling, is accuracy. I do not think his was, and I suspect mine is. That is why it was taken down. 10 minutes after I complained, YouTube restored the video. This saves me making another. Why did they ban my videotape? If you have not already watched the first one, please do. You can see it on brand new tube is on there now. If you haven't already watched it, please watch the first one. Please do. It is called "Why Did YouTube Ban My Video?" It is about free speech and the freedom of the press. And when I last looked, it had received, a respectable 258,000 views. That's more than respectable. That's an amazing figure, isn't it? 2. The demonstrations about the death of a black American are understandable and undoubtedly full of well-meaning people. But I fear that those folk are doing what the authorities want them to do. They are distracting from attention from our global fight for survival and freedom. It's a pity we couldn't have united in some way. If we don't all fight together, then we will all be slaves for life. I am not joking. The McCann story, and that's been going on for years, which hit the front pages of all the UK papers, was another deliberate distraction. We only get one chance to win the big fight. Predictably, Lewis Hamilton, a racing driver, threw himself into the controversy about the killing of the black American. He said he was overcome with rage at the events following the death. How about a little rage at events which resulted in the deaths of thousands of British black and white in care homes. If Mr. Hamilton really wants to help improve society, he could perhaps do more by moving back to the UK and paying income tax. The tax on his obscene earnings would pay for the hiring of many, many policemen. Well, I hope better than the ones that came to Trafalgar Square last week. They didn't look like policemen or act like policemen. They're more like soldiers in policemen's uniform. Mr. Hamilton who has lived in tax exile for years, is famous to many for even managing to avoid paying tax on the 16.5 million aeroplane he bought. He is alleged to have used a company in the British Virgin Islands and another one on the Isle of Man. In my view, people who are tax exiled and who work hard to avoid paying tax forfeit the right to comment on social issues. I agree with you. His advisors are advising him and he's foolishly taking their advice. But in all conscience, he should pay taxes, live here and comment. People would respect him more if he lived here, especially the black community would. They look up to him, I would imagine. Point 3. Dr. Colin Barron's book, Life by Misadventure, is one of the most moving autobiographies I have read for a long time. I'll repeat the name then. Dr. Colin Barron's book, Life by Misadventure. It is a true and absolutely fascinating medical story, though in places it reads like a medical horror story, and a true love story all in one book. It is inspirational and full of compassion. I thoroughly recommend it. I'm sold on it already. If you're recommending it, Dr. Vernon, I'm going to look for that. Thank you. 4. Antoinette and I went shopping in a local supermarket. There were quite a few other shoppers around, but I am delighted to report that I saw no masks and no gloves. There was no social distancing. We all just moved about as normal. Antoinette said there were some directional signs on the floor, but I'm afraid I did not see them. This was a pity, because if I had seen them, I would have been able to ignore them. 5. The Greens are demanding that if and when attempts are made to restore our economy, every effort should be made to do so along lines which will satisfy the looniest of the climate change nutters. Well, I might like certain things, but not to be a nutter like Vernon is suggesting. If this happens, then there is absolutely no hope for us. Millions more will be unemployed for life, and hundreds of thousands will die. It's not a good idea. The Greens have 3 qualities. They are arrogant, stupid, and narrow-minded. That's not a good mix, is it? They also insist on wearing cameras on their silly cycling helmets. 6. Please do whatever you can to spread the truth. I'm trying. Share videos and ask people to visit this Vernon Coleman's website. Try to convert those who are terrified. It's like knocking your head against a brick wall, Dr. Vernon Coleman. It is really. You know, if they won't open their eyes, you can't make them. They send you videos all about COVID-19, how many deaths and all sorts of stuff they do. Try to convert those who are terrified and who believe that the coronavirus is the 21st century version of the plague. Yes, they all do. There are no subscription charges and no advertisements on my YouTube and brand YouTube channels or this website. And we promise not to try to sell them or anybody t-shirts or fancy mugs. Yes, they do on some of them. Duran Duran do. And then you get taxed on it coming into England. You pay more money, like another £15 on the top. But I will mention my books from time to time, yeah, because we need to read them when appropriate, so that if you buy one, Antoinette and I can eat occasionally. It is a bad habit we picked up. Number 7. The BBC has reported, as though with surprise, that new car sales were down 97% in Northern Ireland in May. How could they be surprised? I am surprised that the sales were not down 100%. Who on earth managed to buy a car with all the showrooms shut? Who on earth? We bought a new car about 2 days before the lockdown started. It is a dream vehicle, and it has so far travelled a grand total of 175 miles in nearly 3 months. 8. Although the lockdowns have been lifted a little, Antoinette and I hardly ever go out. Our house and garden are big enough for us to move about, and we live on a sort of island. When we do venture out through our gate, it requires a good deal of effort. We are natural recluses, and we are aware that if we aren't careful, we will become complete recluses. I suspect there are several million more potential recluses in Britain alone. Well, I'm one of them. Since I've come back from London, I have to stay away from everybody here. Doors locked in my face. I don't mind, I'm doing more recordings. 9. Professor Ferguson, aka Professor Lockdown, and Professor Pantsdown, is reported to have admitted to a House of Lords Select Committee that Sweden achieved much the same result as the UK in suppressing the coronavirus, but without a lockdown and the associated health, social and economic problems, and I would add mental health problems for many. Don't like being lonely in lockdown, do they? You can't blame them. Number 10. Sir Richard Dearlove, oh that's a nice name, the former head of MI16, says he has seen a scientific report suggesting that the coronavirus was man-made by Chinese scientists. Now, what a surprise. It doesn't surprise me at all. Donald Trump and the CIA have said the same thing. So, why haven't we been shown this report? Wonder why. What else is in it? 11. Nearly half of all primary schools did not open on the 1st of June as they should have done. Was this the fault of teachers or parents? I hope it was parents, because I wouldn't have let my little kids go to school with all this nonsense going on. And if parents did not send their children to school, was it because they were frightened of the virus? Or more likely that they refused to send their children, this would be my reason, into a scary environment where the teachers were likely to be wearing masks, gloves and plastic smocks. And in Ireland I saw a school where they opened the shed to put the children in it who were ill, tiny little children, the youngest in the school. If they had any signs of illness and their parents couldn't come yet, they'd put them in this outside sort of, not even a big gardening shed, with a little table and chairs. So that would cause them mental health illness. Frighten them to death. 12. The UK government has introduced quarantine for travellers, me one of them, coming back from London, with absolutely no scientific basis for the decision. Dr. Coleman, I suggested in March that if the government was serious about the risk, they should close our borders. The current quarantine plan is miles too late and useless. It will, however, destroy the tourist industry, the airline industry, and much of the economy. So guys, thanks for watching. We'll leave it there, and then we'll be discussing Dr. Vernon's view on the tap water, if it's safe to drink. Well, I wouldn't drink it. I distill my water. I don't trust what's in it at all. Alright then, good night and God bless. Thank you for listening. There's another one done.